There's someone in your life right now who never seems to break. No matter what happens, they stay calm. They don't overthink. They don't fall apart. And then there's you, one cold message, and your chest tightens. One small rejection, and it stays in your head for days. You replay it. You question yourself. You feel it way too deeply. So you start wondering, what's wrong with me? But what if I told you? Nothing is wrong with you. What if the real problem is something nobody ever taught you? Because after this video, people won't be able to hurt you the way they used to. Not your boss, not your family, not the person who left, but only if you're willing to see what's really going on inside you. So, the real question is, are you ready to understand it? Here's the truth most people never realize. The pain you feel doesn't actually come from other people. Read that again. It's not in what they said, it's not in what they did, and it's not even in the situation itself. The pain is already inside you. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a deep bruise on your arm. If someone lightly taps that exact spot, it hurts like hell. But if they tap someone else in the same place, nothing happens. Same action, completely different reaction. Why? Because the pain was never in the tap, it was in the bruise. And emotional pain works the same way. When someone's words hit you and it feels unbearable, it's not because they're so powerful. It's because those words landed on something old, something unhealed, something you've been carrying for a long time without even realizing it. And once you see this, something starts to make sense, because it explains why the same kind of pain keeps showing up in your life. Different person, different situation, but somehow the exact same feeling. You feel ignored. You feel not chosen. You feel like you're not enough. Again, and again, and again. This isn't bad luck, and it's not that the world is against you. It's a pattern. Every time something hits that same emotional bruise, your mind reacts instantly. You don't just feel the moment, you feel everything connected to it. All the old memories, all the past moments you felt the same way. That's why it feels so intense. That's why it feels bigger than it should be. Because you're not reacting to one moment, you're reacting to years of unhealed emotion. And here's the part most people never stop to question. Why does this specific thing hurt you so much? Why does being ignored feel unbearable? Why does rejection feel like the end of everything? If you look closely, it's not about what just happened. It's about what it means to you. A part of you already believes something painful. Maybe that you're not important. Maybe that people always leave. Maybe that you're never enough. And every time life gives you a small moment that looks similar, that belief gets activated again. Not created, activated. And this is where something starts to feel familiar. Because if you're honest with yourself, this isn't the first time you felt this way. It's happened before. Different person, different situation, but somehow, the exact same feeling. You get ignored, and it hits the same place. You get rejected, and it feels just as heavy. Someone pulls away, and your chest tightens again, like you've been here before. Because you have. This isn't random, it's a pattern. The same emotional wound being triggered over and over again. And every time it happens, you don't just react to what's in front of you. You react to everything connected to it. All the past moments, all the old memories, all the times you felt the same way. That's why it feels so overwhelming. That's why it feels bigger than it should be. Because it's not just one moment. It's a collection, a loop that keeps playing on repeat. And until you see it, you'll keep thinking it's about them. When, in reality, it's something inside you asking to be seen. And once you see the pattern, the next question becomes unavoidable. Why does this hurt you? This much, not on the surface, but deep down. Because it's never just about being ignored. It's about what being ignored means to you. It's never just about someone leaving. It's about what they're leaving makes you believe. And if you go deeper, you'll start to notice something uncomfortable. The pain is connected to a belief you've been carrying for a long time. Maybe that you're not important. Maybe that people always walk away. Maybe that no matter what you do, it's never enough. And here's the truth most people avoid. The reason it hurts so much is because a part of you believes it might be true. Not fully, but enough to make it sting. Because if you truly knew your worth, if it was unshakable inside you, no one's opinion could reach that deep. No silence could shake you. No rejection could define you. But when that belief is still there, every small moment becomes proof. Every situation becomes confirmation. And without realizing it, you're not just experiencing life. You're reinforcing a story you never chose consciously, but have been living out over and over again. That's the root, not what happened, but what you believe it says about you. And this is where everything can finally change, because once you see the root, you don't need to fight the feeling anymore. You need to understand it. But understanding alone isn't enough. You need one simple shift. A pause, right in the moment when something triggers you. Before you react, before you overthink, before the emotion takes over, there is a small space. Most people miss it because they move too fast. But if you slow down, you'll find it. And in that space, you ask one question, just one. What is this really about? Not what did they do, not why are they like this, but what inside me is being touched right now. Because the moment you ask that, you stop being the reaction, and you become the observer. You feel the emotion, but you don't get pulled by it, and that changes everything. Because now, you're not feeding the same wound anymore. You're not repeating the same pattern. You're interrupting it. And every time you do that, you take your power back. Little by little, until one day, the things that used to control you no longer can. And the more you practice this, something quietly begins to change inside you. Not all at once, not in one big moment, but slowly. You start noticing things that used to trigger you don't hit the same way anymore. The words that once stayed in your head for days fade faster. The silence that once made you anxious feels lighter. And the situations that used to pull you into overthinking no longer have the same grip. Not because life became easier, but because you stopped carrying everything so personally. You stopped turning every moment into a story about your worth. And instead, you just see things for what they are. A moment, a reaction, something that passes. And in that space, you feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Relief. There's no constant tension in your chest. No need to replay every conversation. No urge to fix everything immediately. You're still aware. You still feel deeply, but you're no longer overwhelmed by it. And maybe for the first time, you realize peace was never something you had to chase. It was something you learned to stop disturbing. So in the end, you were never too sensitive. You were never weak. You were just carrying things that were never meant to be carried this long. And now, you see it. You see where the pain comes from. You see the pattern. You see the story behind it. And that changes everything. Because from this moment on, you have a choice. You can keep reacting the way you always have. Or you can pause. You can look deeper. You can choose differently. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Right now. Because the people who can't be hurt aren't special. They just made one decision. They stopped letting the outside world decide how they feel inside. And now, that decision is yours. If this made you see something about yourself, comment, "I see it." And if you know someone who needs this, send it to them. Because sometimes, one realization is all it takes to change everything.